In today's class, we will see multiplication of vectors by vectors. Before that, we will see one small topic of vector fields. So, as we said, we are studying this concept of scalars and vectors for the sake of vector fields. So, what is a vector field? So, a vector field is a vector function of a position vector. You know, now you know what is a position vector, right? The vector drawn from the origin to a particular point is the position vector. The vector function of that particular position vector is known as its vector field. So as we know, the magnitude and direction of the function, it will change as we move throughout the region because it is dependent on x, y, and z coordinates. So as we move the x, y, and z, as we change the x, y, and z components, the magnitude and direction of the function will change. And the value of the vector function, it is determined using the coordinate values of the point that is under question. Okay, so that coordinate values in case of rectangular coordinates, it will be x, y, and z components. So if you represent the position vector as r, then the vector field, the vector field, it can be given as g. Okay, the vector field can be given as g. R, it is a position vector of a particular point, vector field is g. Then the functional notation of vector g, it is actually written as g of r, because g is a function of r. Okay, vector field is a function of position vector. You know how you write the function, right? The notation for the function, and in the brackets the value of which you are finding the function. So here it is the function of position vector r, and the function is g. So the vector field is g of r. It is written, both are vectors. G is also a vector, r is also a vector. As we said, the fields can be scalars also sometimes. So if you are finding the scalar field of this position vector r, then you can write, for example, t. If t is the scalar field, then you can write it is t of r. Here t, there is no arrow mark that indicates t is scalar. This is a scalar field of vector r. This is the vector field g of the vector r. So one example that we can give for the vector fields is when we are trying to inspect the velocity of water, okay, in any body of water like ocean or river or anything, in some region near the surface. So these tides and currents, that happens normally in the oceans. Okay, so near the surface where there are tides and currents, that means the flow of water and the variation in water. So we can represent it by the velocity vector, okay, which is in any direction. The motion of water, if you observe in the ocean, it can be in any direction, including up and down, left, right. So it will be in any direction. So that, it can be represented as a vector. So the vector v, you can write it as in rectangular coordinates in terms of x, y, and z components. So in x direction, the velocity v is a vector, so we are indicating it as a vector. So it has x component vx, y component vy, and z component vz. So ax, ay, and az indicate the unit vectors in x, y, and z directions. So if you consider the velocity at a particular point, okay, at a particular point, then the position vector at that particular point will be given as r, vector r. Okay, so then velocity can be treated as a function of vector r. In that case, you can write vx of r into ax plus vy of r into ay plus vz of r into az. So why we are writing this r is because these components Vx, Vy, and Vz, they might be dependent on the X, Y, and Z components, because velocity, it might not be same throughout the ocean, but it will not be same throughout the ocean. So it will be dependent on the position of where we are finding the velocity. So it is a function of the three variables X, Y, and Z. So in that case, you can treat all the X, Y, and Z components. They are again the functions of X, Y, and Z. That's why we treat Vx as a function of r, Vy as a function of r, similarly Vz as a function of r. So you can better understand this when we take some examples of vector fields. Okay, so before that, we will move to the next topic, and in that we will consider one vector field, and then you'll understand it better. So next topic we have is vector multiplication. So previously we have seen multiplication of vectors, but there we have considered multiplication of vector by a scalar. right? It is just, what you are doing is just scaling. It is not multiplication of vector by vector. You are just scaling by, we have seen examples like you take a vector a. If you want to find phi a, it will be 5 times the magnitude will increase by 5 times, but direction will remain the same. So it's just an example of scaling up or scaling down. Multiplication will scale up, division will scale down the magnitude of the vector. But when you consider the multiplication of a vector by a vector, we have two types of products that we can obtain. So one is dependent on the result. If you obtain a scalar product, you call that thing as dot product, because the operator that we use for scalar product is the dot operator. The other one is the product of two vectors can be a vector. So in that case, we call it cross product. Okay, cross product, because the operator that we use is the cross operator. So in dot product, the product obtained, we are multiplying two vectors, but the result is a scalar quantity. In cross product, we are multiplying two vectors, and the result will be another vector quantity. So how can multiplication of two vectors result in a scalar? So we will see that in the dot product. So you might have already studied this, the dot product of two vectors a and b. It is defined as the product of the magnitude of a, the magnitude of b, and the cos of the angle between them, right? So we know this mathematically. If you want to represent, it is a dot b, that is equal to, so dot product is written as a dot b. This is the scalar multiplication. Okay, multiplication of vector by another vector, which yields a scalar product. Scalar product or dot product a dot b, that is equal to, this indicates magnitude of a, this is the magnitude of b, multiplied by cos of angle between a and b. The angle between a and b is indicated as theta ab. Okay, when you take that angle, you have to take the smaller angle between the two vectors. Suppose this are the two vectors. This is vector a and this is vector b. So there are two angles here actually. One is taken from a to b, the other one is taken from, yeah, a to b itself, but it will be a larger angle. So this is the smaller angle, this will be the larger angle, isn't it? So if this is say theta ab, this angle will be 360 degrees minus theta ab. So it will be a larger angle, this will be the smaller angle. Always you take the smaller angle between a and b, and that we will represent as theta ab. So the magnitude of this, that is the length of this vector a, multiplied by the magnitude of the vector b, multiplied by the cos of the angle between them, that gives the product, that is a scalar product a dot b. So this scalar product will not be a vector quantity. That means it is just a number. You cannot indicate it like this, like any arrow mark. It is just a number, decimal number. Okay. So yeah, the dot product, it is also called the scalar product because the product is a scalar quantity without any direction. And one more thing you need to note is it obeys commutative law. Dot product is commutative. That means a dot b is equal to b dot a. So if you reverse, I mean, if you change the order of the vectors, it will be still the same. Why is that? Because if you take b dot a, that will be magnitude of b into magnitude of a multiplied by cos theta ba. That is the angle between b and a. So if this is the direction of theta ab, this will be the direction of theta ba, right? So this will be the direction of theta ba, and that will be minus. If you take theta ab as positive, theta ba, that is the opposite direction, will be negative. But the cos is an even function. What does an even function mean? If you take minus, that means cos of, yeah, cos of minus theta is equal to cos theta, right? So it's an even function. So if you take theta ba, that will be equal to minus theta ab. So cos of minus theta ab is nothing but cos theta ab. That's why it remains the same. So that means if you change the order of the vectors in case of dot product, it will be the same. The value will not change. So that means it is commutative. Okay. So that is because you have the cos function, which is an even function, where cos of minus theta is equal to cos theta. Okay. So where do you use this dot product? So why we are going to study this dot product in field theory or electromagnetics. So one thing is to find the, yeah, the work done. Okay, the work done by applying a force. So when you apply a force, a constant force F over a displacement L, if you treat vector F as the force and displacement as L, then the work done the is actually product of force multiplied by L, F dot L. Okay, so that is actually F magnitude of the force multiplied by the displacement multiplied by cos of the angle between the line of force and the line of displacement. Okay, FL cos theta, where theta is the angle between the line of force and the yeah, line of the displacement. So this, you can write FL cos theta is nothing but dot product between F and L. So normally this is considered when there is a constant force or uniform force. So if the force is varying along L, we need to integrate the force with respect to the length or displacement. Okay, that we will see when it comes to the those topics. We are normally integrating F with respect to L to obtain the actual work done or the energy expended. Also, we come across this dot product in magnetic fields. If the magnetic flux density, the magnetic flux density is given as the vector B, okay, then the magnetic flux is crossing a vector surface S. Now we treat the surface as vectors. In case of in this subject, we treat the surface areas as vectors which are directed outwards. Okay, which are directed outwards. So that is given by the dot product between the flux density and the surface area. The magnetic flux is given as dot product between flux density and surface area. Again, if the flux is not uniform, we take the integration. The total flux will be integration of B with respect to S. Okay, we will come across this in fourth module. Okay, and this in second module. So this is where we use dot products. And one more important application is to find the angle between the two vectors. So since we know A dot B is equal to magnitude of A multiplied by magnitude of B into cos theta, you can find the angle theta, right? So from this you can write cos theta cos theta is equal to A dot B divided by the magnitudes of A and B, right? A dot B divided by the magnitudes of A and B. Then what is theta? Theta is cos inverse of this particular thing, right? The angle between vector A and B can be found by cos inverse of A dot B divided by magnitude of A into magnitude of B. So that is also another important application of this dot product. One more thing is you can find the component of any vector in a particular direction. So we will see that with an example. Okay, we can find the component of any particular vector in a given direction by multiplying the vector with the unit vector in the given direction. So these are the things. So let us see what happens when you find the dot product of unit vectors. So as you know, the unit vectors are mutually perpendicular to each other. So if this is ax, which is coming out of the screen, ay is to the right, z is to the top. All of these three vectors, the angle between each of them is 90 degrees. Angle between ax and ay is 90 degrees. Between ay and az is 90. Between az and ax is 90 degrees. Okay, so if you just want to find the dot product of two vectors ax and ay, so that is ax dot ay is magnitude of ax multiplied by magnitude of ay multiplied by the cos of the angle between them. So magnitude of ax is written with like this, magnitude of ay is written like this, cos of the angle between them is 90 degrees. Okay, this angle is 90 degrees, so cos 90. So what is cos 90? Cos 90 is 0. That's why the angle or the dot product of ax dot ay is 0. Okay. Similarly, the dot product of a unit vector with any other unit vector will be 0 because the angle between any of these unit vectors is 0, right? The angle between any of these unit vectors is 0. So it is 1, 1, and 0. So this is 0. Similarly, ax dot ay, similarly ay dot ax, since it is commutative. Similarly, ay dot az and az dot ay, also az dot ax and ax dot az. All these, that is dot product of any unit vector with any other unit vector will be 0, right? Now tell me, what will be the dot product of a vector, a unit vector by itself? So in that case, what will be ax dot ax? What will be ax dot ax? Can anyone tell what is ax dot ax, or ay dot ay, or az dot az? What will that be? Yes, yes, square of magnitude. Magnitude of unit vector will be 1. Okay, so what will be the square of 1? 1 itself, right? So that means unit vector dotted with itself, unit vector dotted with itself will yield 1, because the angle of any vector by itself, angle between a vector and itself. So what is the angle between ax and ax? It is 0, right? So cos 0 is 1. Cos 0 is 1. That's why ax dot ax, ay dot ay, or az dot az is 1. Okay, so this is the dot product between different unit vectors. So based on this, you can find the dot product between any two vectors, and you can get a very simple expression for that instead of using this the angle between them. Okay, so what we do is we will take two vectors, vector a and vector b. You can represent in rectangular coordinates as vector a is ax plus ay plus az. So ax, ay, and az are x, y, and z components of vector a. We have vector b, which is bx plus by plus bz. Now we want to find the product of a and b, the scalar product or dot product of a and b. So if you want to find the dot product here, you do not know the angle between them, so you cannot use that thing like magnitude of a, magnitude of b, cos of angle between them. So you can use the distributive law. This dot product, it follows the distributive law also. So you can do this: ax, multiply each term of a with each term of b, okay, as you do normal multiplication. Ax dot bx ax, that is the first term. Then ax dot by plus ax dot bz. So this is multiplying ax first term of a with each term of b. So this is not completed, right? Next we have next term in a, ay. So ay dot bx plus ay dot by plus ay dot bz. There is another term in a, that is z component, az dot bx plus az dot by plus az dot bz. Right? So now if you keep the scalar components together and vector components together, I mean if you separate the scalar and vector components in each term, you'll get this, right? So ax dot bx ax, I can write this as ax bx multiplied by ax dot ax, right? Ax dot ax, because dot operator is only on the vectors. So I will keep vectors aside and scalars aside. Okay, so this will be ax by into ax dot ay. Similarly, you will get these terms. Okay, if you do this for all the terms, you will get this. Okay, so now you know the unit vectors, dot product on unit vectors. What is ax dot ax? Ax dot ax is 1, right? What is ay dot ay? Ay dot ay is 1. Similarly, what is az dot az? Az dot az is 1. But what about this ax dot ay? This will be 0. This ax dot az, this will also be 0, right? So then ay dot ax, this will also be 0. Az dot ay, this will also be 0. Similarly, this will be 0. This will be 0. So what will remain? Okay, what will remain is only three terms where you have the unit vectors multiplied by itself, that is ax bx, ay by, az bz. So what the expression for a dot b will come finally to ax bx plus ay by plus az bz. All other terms, they will become 0. So if you know the vector in its rectangular components, you can find the dot product of them by multiplying the x components, y components, and z components of both the vectors and then adding them together. So what you find here is there is no vector term. There are no directions. There is no ax, ay, az in this. So it's absolutely a scalar quantity, just a number, right, without any direction, right? So this is how you can find the scalar product of any two vectors. Yeah. A vector dotted by itself, that is the product of a vector with itself, will give you the angle between those two is 0, right? So cos 0 is 1, so it is just magnitude square. Okay, magnitude of a we can simply write as a without any arrow mark, so it is a square. Similarly, a dot product of a unit vector by itself is again 1, that we have seen already. So if you take a unit vector in the direction of vector a, if you find the dot product of with itself, it is again 1, because the magnitude of unit vector is 1. Okay, then we will come to the one more application. As I said, one more important application of the dot product is to find the component of the vector in any given direction. Okay, to find the component of the vector in any given direction. So that component of the vector, it can be scalar or vector. Okay, depending on what we are taking, some things will change. So if you want to find the scalar component, suppose there is a vector b. Okay, so this is the vector b. You want to find the component of this vector b in the direction of this vector a. This is a unit vector a, any random direction. Okay, so you want to find the component of this in the direction of a. So what does it mean? What is the component of any vector in the given direction? You need to drop a perpendicular from this vector b to this line that is extended from vector a. Okay, so the length from here to here, this gives the component of vector b in the direction of a. So this length, it can be found by the dot product between vector b and vector a. Okay, component of any vector in any given direction is nothing but its projection. It is also called the projection of that particular vector in that direction. That is, if you drop a perpendicular from the vector to the line extended from the particular vector in the particular direction, so this length, it gives the component of vector b in this direction. This can be easily found by finding the dot product of the vector b and the unit vector a. Okay, it is dot product of vector b and a, that is b dot a. So that b dot a, it is magnitude of b multiplied by magnitude of a multiplied by the cos of the angle between them. B dot a, so theta b a. Okay, magnitude of a is 1, right? Magnitude of a is 1, that is unit vector. So this becomes 1. So magnitude of b is the length of b multiplied by cos of the angle between two vectors, b and a. So this b dot a, the dot product, is also called the projection of b in the direction of a. Okay, is the projection of b in the direction of a. So scalar component of any vector in a given direction is dot product of that vector with the unit vector in the given direction. Similarly, to find the vector component, we take the scalar component and multiply it by the unit vector. Okay, so here what we have seen, the b dot a is a scalar product or dot product. It is a vector. It is not a scalar. It is not a vector. It has only magnitude. It does not have any direction, right? What you can see, there is no direction. It is just a number, right? But if you want the vector component, of b in that direction, you should take the scalar component and multiply it by the unit vector. Okay, the same diagram, but here you can see we are finding the vector component. There is an arrow mark here. In the previous one, there was no arrow mark. right? So you take the scalar component and multiply it by unit vector. Take b dot a, then multiply it by a cap. You get the vector component in that direction. Okay. Suppose you want to find the vector component of b in the direction of ax, then it is b dot ax. Okay. So b dot ax. This is the scalar component. B dot ax will give you just bx, right? Because ay and az components are 0 in ax, there is only ax, so you get only bx. So the component vector is b dot ax multiplied by ax. So b dot ax multiplied by ax is nothing but bx ax. That means you take the scalar component, multiply it by the unit vector, you get the vector component of the vector, uh, given vector in any given direction, right? So we will see one example. Quickly, we will see this example. You'll understand the vector fields as well as the dot product. So as I said, here we have the vector field G, which is given by yax minus 2.5x ay plus 3az. Okay, so this is the vector field G, and there is a point Q 4 comma 5 comma 2. Q 4 comma 5 comma 2. So that means what is x? X is equal to 4, y is equal to 5, and z is equal to what at the point Q. Okay, so we want to find G at this point Q. Also, the scalar component of G at the point Q in this direction. The direction is given as an, which is equal to 1 by 3 of 2ax plus ay minus 2az. And also the vector component of G at this Q in the direction of an. And finally, we want to find the angle between this field grq and the unit vector an. We will see one by one. We want to find G at Q. G is given as this. Okay. At Q means we need to substitute the values of x, y, and z in this G. Okay. X is 4, y is 5, z is 2. Okay. So if you substitute, we get G at Q. It is written as G of R. Okay. You have seen vector field is written as G of R. Here R at the point Q. Position vector of Q is RQ. So G of RQ is, in place of Y, you substitute 5. Okay. In place of Y, you substitute 5 because Y is equal to 5. 5ax minus 2.5x ay. What is x? X is 4. 4 into 2.5 is 10. That's why minus 10 ay plus 3az. Okay, 3 as it is, 3az. This is the vector field G at the point Q. Okay, you can write it as G of RQ. That is 5ax minus 10ay plus 3az. Next, you want to find the scalar component of G at Q in this particular direction. So in any direction, if you want to find the component of any vector, we need to find the dot product of that vector with that unit vector. We want to find component of G in direction of an. So it is dot product of G and an. G dot an. So G dot an. You know this vector G. You know this vector an. You find the dot product. How to find the dot product? So any vector a dot b is ax bx plus ay by plus az bz. That means you need to multiply x components, you need to multiply y components and z components and add them. So what do you get now? 5 multiplied by 2 by 3. Okay, or you can take this 1 by 3 outside, then multiply this. 5 multiplied by 2 is 10. Then minus 10 multiplied by 1 is minus 10. Then 3 multiplied by minus 2 is minus 6. Is it right? So if you simplify this, 10 minus 10 minus 6, that is minus 6. So 1 by 3 into minus 6 is minus 2. So this is the scalar component of this vector G in the direction of vector an. Okay. So now next question is to find vector component of G in the direction of an. If you want to find vector component, you need to multiply the scalar component with an. Right? You need to multiply scalar component with an. You have already found the scalar component. You have got it as minus 2. Then multiply it with an. An is this vector. Multiply it. What do you get? Minus 4 by 3 ax minus 2 by 3 ay plus minus into minus plus 4 by 3 az. You can write the final answer in decimal as minus 1.33 ax minus 0.67 ay plus 1.33 az. This is the vector component of G in the direction of an. Finally, you want to find the angle, right? Angle, it can be found using this equation. We know G dot An is magnitude of G multiplied by magnitude of An multiplied by the cos of the angle between them. Magnitude of An is 1, so we can just leave it. It is magnitude of G divided by cos of angle between them. If you rearrange this, or if you substitute the values, this already have found the scalar component G dot An, right? G dot An is minus 2, right? G dot An is minus 2. So you can write it as minus 2 is equal to, what is magnitude of G? It is square root of G vector. You have found it as phi ax minus 10ay. What is that thing? Yeah, phi ax minus 10ay plus 3az. So x is phi, y is minus 10, z component is minus 3. So you can write it as phi square plus minus 10 square plus 3 square. So if you simplify, this 25 plus 100 plus 9 into cos theta a. So this 25 plus 100 plus 9 is 134. So square root of 134 into cos theta a. So if you rearrange this, you get cos theta is equal to minus 2 divided by square root of 134. If you want to find the angle, you take the cos inverse of this particular thing. If you find the cos inverse using your calci, you'll get the angle as 99.9 degrees. You have to keep the angle in degree mode. Okay, if you keep the angle in degrees mode, you'll get the angle as 99.9 degrees. So this is a way you can solve any problem with respect to any vector field, and also the scalar or dot product. Okay, we can also use it to find the angle between two vectors, as in this case we can use it to find the scalar component and vector components of a particular vector in any given direction. Okay, so this is about the scalar product or the dot product. In the next class we will see another kind of multiplication of vector by another vector, that is cross products, where the vector product of two vectors will be another vector. Okay, I'll stop here. We'll meet in the next class.